Bonjour et bienvenue à Basic French 4. Hi and welcome to Basic French Lesson 4. We're already on Lesson 4. Today we're going to learn about how to ask about nationality and answering to a question that asks you about your nationality. For example, where are you from? And we're also going to learn about negative sentences, how to say that you don't like something. And we're going to learn about to be verbs and to speak verbs. And lastly, we are going to learn how to say here is or this is. So let's get right into it. Okay, first, before going on to our official lesson, we should review what we learned in Basic French 3. So let's cover Dialogue 1 and 2 and try to remember what we learned. First, je m'appelle Paul. Comment vous appelez-vous? Moi, je m'appelle Sylvie. Je suis contente de vous rencontrer, mademoiselle. Moi aussi. I'm pretty sure you guys know what this dialogue means if you saw my last video, but I'm going to go over it. First, je m'appelle Paul. My name is Paul. Comment vous appelez-vous? What's your name? Comment vous appelez-vous is how you ask someone about their name. Moi, je m'appelle Sylvie. My name is Sylvie. And then, je suis contente de vous rencontrer, mademoiselle. This means I am content, I'm pleased to meet you. Meet means rencontrer in French, so it's pleased to meet you, miss. And lastly, moi aussi, me too. Let's move right on to dialogue 2. It's about saying goodbye. Au revoir, madame. Au revoir, monsieur. Bonne journée. À bientôt. Okay, au revoir means see you again. Madame, monsieur, ma'am, and sir. And then bonne journée, this means you have a nice day. Because bonne, nice, journée, day. À bientôt means see you soon or see you later. So this was a quick review, and now let's get on to the lesson. First, we are going to learn about how to ask about nationality and answering when someone asks you about your nationality. But before that, we have to learn some vocab first, so let's go over it quickly. Français or française means French. So the reason why I said français or française is because, as we learned in the previous lesson by learning how to differentiate between masculine and feminine words, français is masculine and française, which has an E, is feminine. So you guys have to use different words when you're talking about different genders. Second, japonais or japonaise. Japonaise for the masculine one, japonaise is the feminine one. This means Japanese. Non is no. We're going to learn about that in the negative sentences part in today's lesson. And Korean. Korean means Korean. Korean is masculine. Korean is feminine. Vous parlez, je parle, tu parles means you, I, or you speak. This is also something we're going to learn in today's lesson later on. And quel is something we'll learn next lesson or the lesson after that, but it means, as of now, which or what. Quel as Q-U-E-L is masculine, and if it has an L-E added on that, it is a feminine adjective. And langue. This means language or tongue. This can also be used when you're talking about your nationality, which kind of language you speak. And then allemand is German. Anglais or anglaise is English. Let's talk about this dialogue first. This is a typical conversation between two people who don't know, who each doesn't know each other's nationality and asking about their nationality. So first, I'm going to read it to you and you guys can repeat after me. Je suis française. Vous êtes japonais? Non, je ne suis pas japonais. Je suis coréen. Vous parlez quelle langue? Je parle coréen. Okay, then let's dissect the dialogue in order to understand it thoroughly. Je suis française, vous êtes japonais means I'm French, are you Japanese? you're asking someone about if they're Japanese, and you can notice that the vous here is a pronoun that we learned 2 lessons ago. I told you to memorize it, so I think it wouldn't be hard for you to remember that. Vous êtes japonais? It means, are you Japanese? And you're asking someone about their nationality, if they're Japanese. And then the second line, non, je ne suis pas japonais, je suis coréen. So you can see that je ne suis pas japonais is I am not Japanese, which is what we're going to learn in today's lesson, but also is used a lot in this dialogue. So when you talk about if you're talking about a negative sentence, if you're saying something negative, you have to say je ne suis pas. So this means that you have to put ne before the verb and pas after the verb in order to indicate that you're saying a negative sentence. So here, non, je ne suis pas japonais means that I am not Japanese. And then the person says, je suis coréen, I am Korean. And you can notice that because a masculine form is used here, that person is a man. The third line, vous parlez quelle langue? So we learned langue right before this, the dialogue, the vocab part. This is talking about your what kind of language you speak, and you can see this is a question, so it is asking that person which language does the person speak. Vous parlez quelle langue? And then the last line is je parle coréen. Je parle coréen. Okay, I got a little bit flimsy there, but so here the person is saying that I speak Korean, and here je parle, this parle means speak, which we're also going to learn later because it changes its form based on the pronoun that is used, so you guys have to be mindful of that. Let's go over it quickly one more time and then move on to dialogue 2. Je suis française. Vous êtes japonais? Non, je ne suis pas japonais. Je suis coréen. Vous parlez quelle langue? Je parle coréen. But there are other ways to tell someone where you're from, so we have to go over the vocab again. This is going to be easy. We already learned enchanté, the previous lesson, which enchanté means enchanted and delighted, and do means from where, so it's du plus o, so o means where, and du plus means from, so do means from where. And then Seoul, which is Seoul in South Korea, and Paris is Paris, and Nice is Nice in France, and voici means here is, which we're going to learn later on, and there's voilà which means there is. So if you're talking about this teddy bear, you have to say voici, and if you say there is a teddy bear, you have to say voilà. And then there's Lyon, which is also a part in France, and then Londres, which is London. So these terms are going to be used in the dialogue too, so you guys have to know it. Okay, so dialogue 2. We're gonna go over it, so when I say it, you guys have to repeat after me. Enchanté, monsieur. Enchanté, madame. D'où êtes-vous, monsieur? Je suis de Séoul. Et vous? Vous êtes de Paris? Non, je suis de Nice. So there are a lot of new expressions here. For example, we know what enchanté means, so I'm going to pass explaining that. And then we have to talk about this d'où êtes-vous, monsieur? This is a way to ask someone where they are from, and you can see that the verb and the noun has switched places here because it's a question. D'où êtes-vous? Not vous êtes. It's d'où êtes-vous, monsieur? Be mindful of that. And then the next line, je suis de Séoul. I am from Seoul. You can say that je suis you can say je suis coréen, but if you want to be specific about what village or city you're from, you have to say je suis de Séoul, which means that I am from Seoul, a particular place. And then she says, et vous? Vous êtes de Paris? Are you from Paris? Paris, I'm sorry. Are you from Paris? And here, de means from. And you can also see that happening in the Je suis de Seoul part. I'm from Seoul. So you have to know about that. And then the man says, non, je suis de Nice. He says he's from Nice, not from Paris. Okay, let's quickly go over it one more time and then move on to the next part. Enchanté, monsieur. Enchanté, madame. D'où êtes-vous, monsieur? Je suis de Séoul. Et vous? Vous êtes de Paris? Non, je suis de Nice. I have already explained to you about how negative sentences work, but nonetheless, this is a very important part, so we're going to go over it. The basic form of negative sentences goes like this. Ne plus verb plus pas. So, I showed you that je ne suis pas japonais means I am not Japanese. So, here, the verb is am, and in French, it's suis. So, you have to put ne in front of the verb and pas after the verb, so you get je ne suis pas japonais, like that. Another example says, vous n'êtes pas professeur. And here you can see this, there's a slight diversion because it's a question, but not much. Vous êtes. She's also asking if that person is a professor or not. So vous êtes. In this part, the et part is the verb. So because ne has to come before the verb, you have to say vous n'êtes and then put pas after the verb. So vous n'êtes pas professeur. For negative sentences, you only have to remember ne suis pas, or like ne pas, ne verb pas. You have to just remember that form. And then let's move on to our two verbs, the etre verb, which is the to be verb, and parler verb, which is to speak verb. The to be verb is the je suis part that we learned. So here you can see that there are different forms based on which pronoun is used, and this is why I told you to memorize the pronouns well. So let's go over it one by one. Je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. The form of the être verb changes radically, so you just have to memorize all of it as a phrase. So you have to remember it as like je suis or nous sommes, vous êtes, like that. So it can you can use it very readily in your sentences. So let's look at the example sentences here. Il est coréen. He is Korean. And then je suis étudiant. I am a student. You have to memorize this part. This is very important. You are always going to use this whenever you're talking about yourself, introducing yourself, so I highly recommend that you guys just memorize this now. The second verb is the to speak verb, which is the parler verb. The parler verb has less form changes than the etre verb. Nonetheless, it's very important and it changes a little, and the pronunciation doesn't change, so you have to be mindful of that. Let's go over it one by one. Je parle, tu parles, il parle, elle parle, nous parlons, vous parlez, il parle, elle parle. So you can see that je parle, tu parles, il parle, elle parle, il parle, elle parle has all the same pronunciations, but there is an S after tu parles, and there is a NT after the il parle and elle parle, the plural one. So you guys have to be mindful of that when you're writing on a piece of paper these sentences, because you can easily get it wrong. And the nous parlons, vous parlez part has a different pronunciation, which is very honest to the form changes here, because it says O and S, it's nous parlons, and because it's easy, it's vous parlez. So I think it's going to be easy to remember these form changes, these two. Let's go over the example sentences. Je parle espagnol. I speak Spanish. Parlez-vous français? Do you speak French? You can also see that when you say a question, you have to switch the the verb, and the noun. Hang on there, we are at the last part of our lesson, which we are going to learn about here is and this is. Okay, the form for here is and this is voici or voilà plus article plus nom or c'est plus article plus noun. The reason I said nom is because noun in French is nom, so that's the reason I wrote it. Hope it didn't make you feel confused or anything. So voici means here is, c'est means this is, and voilà usually means there is, or like something that is a little bit far from you. So let's look at the example sentence. Voici un disque. Here is a disc. And c'est une cassette. This is a cassette. Okay. We covered a lot of important lessons today, so I recommend you rewatch this video at least once so that you can grapple with the concept more easily by reviewing it more. Au revoir. I'll see you again next time. Thank you, and I was Dana Kim from We Learn to Share, here to share my knowledge on basic French.